very well with us. So welcome. Okay, I think we're all in. Arturo, let's start the show.
Okay, let's start the show. Can you see my screen?
No, just black right now.
Black. It has started sharing. There we go.
There we go.
There you go.
There you go. Okay.
Brilliant. Well, welcome everybody. It's always a shame that we're not in person, but it's still great to see you all here online. And I guess as we do more connections in person, that these online ones will become more familiar, and we hope that we have a great session today. So there we go. As ever, what we would like to do is get you all involved. You may remember, those of you that were on the November session, we had some workshops and Q&As and that. We've got two lead sessions today, both of which include workshops. And as ever, and I know I don't need to ask you this, but you know, do get your creative heads on and do collaborate in those sessions, and we will sort of collate and record the findings and the discussions and share them further on. And indeed, we'll come on to a little bit later as well. There's a follow-up session that will come too. So some pictures here from Barcelona for those of you who were there, and for those of you who weren't able to be. I think all in all, it was a very good meeting, and I think we had some interesting debate. We saw some interesting things, I think, over the couple of days there. Now, today we are thinking about technology. Now, in Barcelona, we looked at technology from a building perspective, and maybe slightly the sort of behind the scenes technology. If you remember, we talked about, you know, with Ian Mercer about the world's smartest house, and we had Andrew Sonta talking about how you can use technology to sort of map buildings and try and better understand how people are using them. Well, today we're really thinking about the user and the engagement with the user through technology. And of course, this comes in the forms around apps and websites and social media, etc. And we're trying to think about the future all the time. And we're really delighted, and I'll introduce in a little bit more detail in a moment, to have Sergio joining us today, who's going to talk to us about the world of augmented reality. We'll then take a short break after that, and then following that, we have the Digital Solutions Squad. Now, if you haven't heard about them already on the internet, they're all over the place. They've been on a road trip in Europe already, but it's a great example of future living. And I have to say, I'm super excited that this collaboration has come about because of future living. And really the conversations that have taken place and then develop further outside of the meetings. And Shane and Dennis at IMS and Lisa and Johannes at Hefele have come together, and they've introduced Marcus Feller from Like Magic, who you may be aware of or may have come across in the market. And they're really thinking about the guest journey from a digital perspective and how it can be improved. And we're going to have a session with them after the break. And then once we've wrapped that up, just in the kind of final session there, I'd like to introduce you to a couple of the people behind the scenes with us who are working on putting together the case cards that we share with you, both of whom have been spent time living in service living, and we're going to have a little chat with them about apps and their views on apps and how that may well have improved their experience. And then we'll wrap up and we'll try and be all done by about 6 o'clock CET, 5 o'clock in the UK, and midday stateside. Okay. So first session, coming back to this this idea about how to engage with the customer, with the user. And we're really pleased to have today Sergio Adelayan join us. Sergio is a digital marketing expert and an entrepreneur who most recently has founded a company called Artivive, which is looking at developing and creating interest in the artworks world. So introducing augmented reality to artworks. And I think Sergio's got some great insights on where we are in terms of technology and this type of technology, and where that's going. And I think will be really interesting, hopefully over the next hour or so, as he shares his thoughts with us. We share a little something we've tried, Arturo and I, in this world, and then we kind of get together in a workshop to try and explore where we think the relevance is within the service living space. Now, before Sergio appears and we do anything else, you'll see a QR code on your screen. Now, if you haven't done this already, because we shared a link through Mighty Networks, but if you could download the Artivive app using that QR code, it'll enable you to just sort of interact in a little while with the presentation. So we'll just leave that up there for a moment or two for you to do that. And actually, while that's still up there, Sergio?
Yes, can you hear me?
He's here. There we are.
Yay!
Yes.
Thank you so much, Paul. Yes, I'm looking very much forward to the session. I do have some examples prepared. Some might be some examples that you already know, some might be something that it's pretty new. The idea is to just show you where we're at. And I think also what we're doing with Artivive is all about the user in the middle, the user journey. It's never about the technology. And we have some approaches where we will look a little bit deeper into understanding how we can use this technology, augmented reality, and also with all the hype around, the metaverse and Facebook and Meta pushing this technologies. The question is rather, where is the added value? And let me just share my screen. I hope that it works now. Can you see it?
It does, yes.
Yep.
Perfectly. And because you already downloaded the app, let's just try to scan these two examples. And these two posters, artworks, are two examples from our community. Just a little bit about the Artivive, and then I will go a little bit deeper into the story and how Artivive came to be what it is. We have around 240,000 artists all over the world using this technology to create a new kind of art form, combining traditional haptic things that are in reality, if it's street art or fashion or tattoos, to extend it into a digital story, and at the same time bring digital artworks, digital stories into real spaces. We'll have the opportunity to scan some of the examples that Paul and Arturo also prepared a little bit later on, but just that you have a little bit of a feeling how this works.
And Sergio, just to jump in there for those like me that maybe not so familiar, if you just open up the app and point your phone at the screen, it should do it automatically for anyone that hasn't been able to do that.
Exactly. Thank you, Paul. It's exactly we're using now a screen to scan another screen. But imagine that you're in a museum and we are working with a bunch, or in a gallery, or you're just enjoying street art, pointing the phone, and then these artworks are coming to life. And now we can also go a step forward and imagine that we have these head-mounted displays with augmented reality in our glasses, and then the whole world is somehow connected to the internet, and we're living in the metaverse. But these are a few steps down the line. So let me just go a little bit at the beginning. So my name is Sergio, and as mentioned, I'm the co-founder of Artivive. And I started my journey in augmented reality around 12 years ago. And I'm going a little bit a step a little bit back because I want to just emphasize what augmented reality is. It's a digital layer over an existing real layer. So it's somehow bringing the digital world into the world that we're living. If we're comparing it to virtual reality, where we are leaving the world that we are in and embarking in a total different virtual world, augmented reality is based on the place that we are, on the information that we need. So these are just two examples to give you a little bit of a perspective. We'll not go necessarily into virtual reality. We'll talk a little bit more about augmented reality. It's very important to know that we're just at the beginning. So all the examples that we're looking now and all the trends that we're also seeing with the metaverse and, also if you're talking about the NFTs are things that are developing now because our lives are more and more digital, but it doesn't mean that this will be, the outcome or these projects will be the ones that will take over. And I just want to give you a little bit of a perspective of the 2000s when we had the .com bubble. And then everybody was into websites and everybody, a lot of money was going into the direction. But from that technology and the idea of the .com, we have now the Ubers and Facebooks and the big companies that developed from that. So this is the point where we are now with augmented reality and virtual reality and with the metaverse and with Meta, is the point where we start building implementations and applications that in the long term will define how we'll interact with information and digital content in the future. So this is just a projection. Like I said, it's still at the beginning. And you can see here that augmented reality will take more and more because augmented reality is something that is much more affordable. Everybody has a phone, everybody can interact with it. But again, the most important part is which is the value that we're creating with these technologies. And a little bit about my background in marketing. I had an agency for 12 years where we were one of the first using augmented reality in marketing and ads. And we were working with big brands like Volkswagen, like with this example. And as you can see, this was from 2013, I think, state of the art for that time. You could scan a whole car. You could scan, the ads, the catalogs, and you'll have the car in 3D. You could position the car in augmented reality in the front of your house and play with the configurator and see which different colors it has and systems built in, as well as, as a user manual when you're getting into the car to understand the dashboard and so on. And we did this for many years, and we were lucky to spend a lot of money from Volkswagen to develop these technologies. But at the end, at some point, I started looking at the numbers and I just realized that we had a project in France where if we would have given every user 500 euros, would have spent the same money. So long story short is I just realized what we're doing is not creating any value. And then I tried to understand why. So all the user interaction, the user journey was very long to get to the same information that the customer will find in the catalog that it's already in front of his eyes or on a website as a configurator. So this was just a gimmick. And I think it's a very important part, and that's why I put it here, to highlight how important it is to use a technology and this implementation that doesn't really feel like a gimmick. And we did all these projects and then campaigns because the technology allowed it, without really asking the question, how are we making the life of the customer better? Fast forward to today, like I mentioned, what we're doing with Artivive is we're trying to solve a problem. We're thinking of museums and galleries displaying traditional art who have a hard time to attract new target groups. Because the way how the art is displayed and consumed is the same for hundreds of years. because also art didn't really change. But our way of consuming content and having experiences in different places, if it's in a restaurant or if it's in the cinema or if it's, you know, in the city, changed. So we built a platform where these traditional artworks can come to life and be interactive, and where the user can, or the visitor can decide if they want to interact or not. So they can experience the museum in the same way, like, you know, our grandparents did, but can also have the opportunity to have the interactive part. At the same time, we're enabling digital artists and creatives to be displayed in galleries and into museums with their art, without necessarily for these institutions to spend a lot of money on screens. And you know how it is when you're going into an NFT gallery, that it's full of screens, that they want your attention. So it's still a different experience. And I think what's very interesting here is that the technology is just going into the background, because the artwork and the work of the artist are the reason why the visitors are coming to the museums, or the content that they are consuming. And I will go very, very fast to an example. If we're going to the Belvedere Museum, one of our clients, and we're looking at this picture, we are, it's hard to say if it's something that was taken yesterday or a few years ago, or maybe, you know, 20 years ago, because the museum didn't change. And they have this wonderful painting from Edith, Schiller's wife. And it has a very interesting story that in the first version of the painting, Edith was dressed like this. And when Schiller presented the artwork to the director of the gallery at that time, the director said, "I'm sorry, but she's dressed too poorly. It doesn't match the style that I have for my collection. You have to do something with it in order to be able for me to buy it." So he went back home and overpainted it in this version that we have now in the museum. So this story tells a lot about the time, the artist, also about the gallery, about the museum. Where the artist had to overpaint the painting in order to be able to sell it. And if we're thinking about the story that it's in this painting, because the original layer is still trapped there, it's very hard to transmit the story through an audio guide or to text. But when you're using augmented reality, we can really go deep into the details and highlight the elements that were changed, and also recreate the first version, the true scale to the real colors that were used in the painting. And funny enough, when we saw the visitors in the museum interact with the content, some of them realized that if you're looking very close at the painting, you'll see some bits of the original color still trapped in the painting. And they were giving the phone away, and it was like, "Oh, look, it's true. Here's still some of the original orange." And this is exactly the experience that they will take with them home. After that, they will have the knowledge, and on the emotional side, know, you know, what Schiller went through and the whole story of the painting, and the technology was just the matter to get to this point. And going to different examples that we'll fast forward now in the next 15 minutes. There are many ways how augmented reality can be used to make our life easier. For example, on the left side, we have somebody who's trying on glasses in augmented reality to have a better feeling how it would look like. Or on the right, we have an AR integration where you can see if the luggage is fitting in the, I think it's from EasyJet, if it's fitting as a carry-on, so you don't have to pay for it, which makes life much easier because you don't have, to measure it and see it at the end at the airport will fit or not. But if we're going to using augmented reality indoors, we have also augmented reality navigation, which will just have a layer on top of the real space to show you how you can get to the printer in this example, which seems trivial, but in many cases it can be a very big help also for people maybe who are visually impaired or people who are the first time in a space. But if we're using this technology and the idea of navigation to build on a layer, we can also have a kind of gamification. We can have maybe a character that we're following around. If we're thinking maybe, you know, for a younger generation or for elderly that want to have this interaction, it is not just technology, but they have an avatar that can show them around a new space, or how you know, they can use different machineries that are in that space. It can be also used for maintenance. So for example, to have an augmented reality checklist to let you know, the workers and the service go and check the different parts and have a very visual aid in what they have to do. On another hand, if we're talking about spaces, it can be also very helpful to use it to design a space, to see how, you know, different furniture can look in the space, but not only just also to use it to see if it's fitting. Instead of trying to measure and think how to put it in the space, you can just use augmented reality not only to see how it would look like, but also to see if it will fit in the space that you're planning. Or imagine if you're going to a new hotel, if you're on a business trip, and you want to use the coffee machine. For some reason, all the different coffee machines have different ways of how they're working. I think Nespresso Pulse also puts a lot of effort into making every single machine differently, on putting it, turning it on, or where the water comes. But having an augmented reality extension where you can just scan the machine and say, okay, here's the water, here you're turning it on, here you put a capsule, and you can use it in a few seconds to understand where all the pieces are, right? Or if we are thinking about somebody who's elderly and try to understand the technology, and maybe they also have a hard time to use the app. So what they can do is just use the phone, and through augmented reality, somebody in the support part can draw in the space of how to use, in this case, the remote. It's like, okay, so this is the remote that you can use for the TV, and this is where you have to push the buttons to make it work. And this is something that you can easily use also for maintenance, saying, okay, I don't know what's working, the air conditioning stopped working, how can I reset it? And then you can have somebody on the support line calling in and saying, okay, you have to push this button and then change the filter there. So it's a little bit easier for them to follow the steps. I think also another interesting part is education, where it can be used to show, you know, things that are extremely hard to explain in a way that the students, or, you know, people that want to learn can use it in an interactive way. We also did some projects involving posters. We imagined together with the Museum of Applied Arts in Vienna how the future of the posters would look like, where you have an interactive story that can also change with the time or with the weather on different variables, so that the idea of a poster that has an information can be extended into augmented reality that can change over time. Or in this case, something that can be also interactive, where you can, you know, imagine that you're somewhere and you have, you know, the menu for the day, and then you can just set the different allergies that you have, and then the menu will change and say, okay, this is what you know, made for you, what you could eat at our place, or you can just order it in a different way. So make, again, life a little bit easier. I think also where a lot of money is pouring in, and also where Facebook with Meta is putting a lot of money in, is on the social part, using the space that we are in for social interactions. If it's with brands, that brands can use it for advertising, but also for having a direct connection with the different brands. So use the space, a real space, to add a digital layer based on the interests of the users, where they can also connect with each other. So use the space with a digital extension to build social games. We all know about Pokemon Go, that you had to go to different parks and buildings to get the Pokemons. Or you can also use it to put in the space like post-its, like in this example where you can just say, okay, this is what you have to do. You can put it in different areas with different messages, or you can also use it to draw or to create in a digital space your own sculpture, digital sculpture, or to interact with other people's, like in a kind of a game. So there are many technologies or approaches. We can talk about web AR, where you use a QR code and you have the whole experience directly in a web browser or in a phone. You can also build it in your own app. Let's say, it's many hotel chains have their own apps. So maybe it makes an idea to have it built in the own app so that you can use or understand the coffee machine directly by the push of a button, or you can use third-party apps like, for example, Artivive or Facebook or Snapchat that already have this, and you can assume that people will have it installed. I think this is a question that you have to answer after you define exactly what you want to do, and then see which is the best technology that fits and how you can add best to the value. And what is the user experience? How can you bring people to use this technology and have the value without really, caring about the technology which is behind it? I think a good example of this way, and also they're using augmented reality, is Google Maps, right? So you just want to get from A to B. You don't really care about the GPS. You don't care that they're using data. You don't care that they're using AI to give you the fastest route. You just want to get from A to B. So this should be boiled down the experience that the user should have when using this kind of technologies. I think a good question is, where is this all going? And I'm following this very closely. And the head-mounted displays, so the augmented reality glasses, are still very far away. You maybe heard that in 2 weeks' time or 1.5 weeks' time, Apple will announce a new glass that will be, in my opinion, something that will go rather into virtual reality. Because the problem that we have with augmented reality is the hardware is still pretty big. It's not easy to wear the whole day. At the same time, it's eating a lot of battery. And I think that the biggest problem is that also when you have something that is projected on a glass, that it's in front of your eyes, everything else will be blurred, because this is how the eye works, right? So you'll never have this total integration that we see in the most ads for the hardware, where we have the impression that all the digital content is molded on the reality. It will be something, a display that it's here, that you can see, and everything in the back is blurred. They're working. There are some concepts. Magic Leap had an idea how they can project something on the retina, but it's still, if we're optimistic, in the next 5 years, but more realistic, I think just 10 years, where we will be able to wear glasses that will have an augmented reality use that we might think of using it every day. I think what Apple will present is something that will just extend our desktop, and that we can work on the airplane or in the airport without using the laptop, and it will reveal a different experience of working and writing emails. Before we go to the live demo, I would just want to give you some ideas on what we'll do then in the different groups. And I think Paul and Arturo will give you a little bit more of insights, but we'll have 3 main topics. One will be the Gen Z and Y students and co-living. Maybe there are some ideas on what we saw today on the room customization, maybe some study aids, as well as community engagement. On the business traveler sides, I think navigation wayfinding might be a good idea, as well as language translation that we can also use with augmented reality, or maybe the idea with the user manual that we have seen for the coffee shop. If we're thinking about the elderlies on the senior side, again, I think social interaction would be interesting to have some way to use this technology to engage with others, or use these avatars to bring people to engage with the space. Maybe also cognitive assistance and training, like we also saw with the study aids, or maybe also have interactive games where they will have to go through the space and get points in order to gain or win some prizes, as well as assistance where they can be easily helped from far away to navigate the space or the equipment that's there. I hope I'm in the time. I will just
doing good.
All good. To go to a live demo where I will just show you very short how Artivive works. So the idea when we created Artivive was that people or creatives that will create augmented reality artworks shouldn't care about the technology, because if they don't care about the technology, they will care about the story, and this is what it will transport to the museum visitors or gallery visitors or art lovers. You can get your own account over artivive.com/register. It's for free. And the moment that you have the account, you can log in. I would just show you very short how it works. And there you can easily connect something which isn't reality. And it's enough if it's just a picture with a digital extension. So the easiest way to do so is just by clicking the plus button, and then you can on the left upload, let me just see where I have it, a painting in our case, or maybe it can be also just a poster or some signage. Sometimes for these workshops, what we're doing is we're just taking a book and we're just making a picture of a book cover. And we connect it then with the video that you can record with your phone. I will take this painting of a pizza and drop it here. And then on the other side, I have a video with a cat that's eating the pizza. So I will all add this on the right. But this video can be literally anything. It can be something that it's, a video that you created, something that you can also film with your smartphone. Then we have different features like transparency. So I'm just removing the background, and that's it. This is on the easy way where you just can take something which is in the reality to extend it with something that's digital, in this case, a video. I will just save it, give it a name. And then it's uploaded to our server, and in a few minutes, it will work with the app. What the app is doing is searching in the image for some features, some contrast points where it will recognize it like a QR code. So, the whole idea behind it is extremely easy. You have something where you can point your phone, and then the digital content that you upload will be shown. We also have a 3D Pro mode, which I can show you very fast if I'm editing this artwork, where I can position different elements and 3D objects, other images, videos, and so on in a 3D space. So if you want to explore this, is something also worth doing. I don't think that we'll have the time today, but it's good for you to know. And now I have two examples that Arturo and Paul prepared. Let me just see where it's open. Here. So maybe you can just scan my screen, and Arturo can tell us a little bit more about.
I think you said they were the best examples you've ever seen. So
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, from my side, Sergio mentioned, I also work with the Artivive tool. I came up with this idea of using AR in service living. In this case, I thought about using it for gamification purposes. And of course, I'm not a designer and not an expert in marketing or whatever, but I think it's with a bit of practice, it can get you can get like a very nice results. And also this is about, I believe, is to show how these kind of tools can help to solve some problems that we might have, or to improve the experience of the users or visitors in service living. And I actually spent, I guess, like around 2-3 hours on doing this, and I guess you can now scan it with the app you just download. And basically, what I did is to use the one of the photos that we had from our visit to the social hub in Barcelona, and you can see that this is the gym area. And my idea was to, okay, perhaps we can have some images of the equipment at the entrance of the gym, and after scanning those images, the app will show, for example, this we can call them like records of the current tenants living there, that might have done in those specific equipments or these specific machines, let's say. So, for example, how many repetitions a person have done, or how many kilometers they ran, or in how much time they did it. And if you just move around your phone and look close to the different text boxes that I add there, you can see all those records that are imaginary placed there. And of course, this could be like something that can be updated, like, for example, every month by the staff. And the idea, for me, the idea would be like to encourage the tenants not only to use, like, for example, the space or the gym, or to show them like the spaces, but to also create some activities that could improve the interaction among the tenants, and also perhaps to raise some awareness in terms of like the activities that the service living concept is providing for the tenants themselves, let's say. So yeah, as was quite easy and quite fast, and just, I think, with of course with practice gets way better, I guess. Yeah, Paul. So if you want to show yours.
Let me just.
Who knew that
Sergio.
Aisha could do 100 kilos on a dumbbell? She's got some strong arms.
But when Paul said that it's like from your trip in Barcelona,
Yes.
I just saw you, Paul, back in the picture with the machines using them.
Yeah. Notice I wasn't on the record sheet. But...
You didn't reach the record there.
Let me just show you maybe very, very short how the project looks like in Artivive. So there are the different images, right? So you just use images in the 3D object, and you just uploaded them and position them over the image, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Okay, so let's go to the second example with the room pad.
Yeah, this was mine, and I didn't spend as long as this as Arturo did, which you might be able to tell actually, but slightly different one. This one, I think, if you scan it, it automatically brings up a video that I shot with my phone, just explaining how to use this this in-room pad, which has sort of full interactivity with the room that I was staying in. So I think I've thought about AR since we've been looking into this and talking to Sergio, and I can see how there can be some benefits there to better interaction with with items in the apartments and the living spaces, particularly around the sort of transient piece where you've got people coming in and it's new and things are different. And I think Sergio mentioned the coffee machine earlier. That's one of my big bugbears, is that Nespresso seem to have about 20 different versions of their machine with the on-off button in different positions. So things like that can help avoid the interaction with the staff. So you can get an instant response to your challenge that you need, but also, of course, then helps reduce the sort of staff workload, allows them to focus on the hospitality side, shall we see. So if you're able to open this video, my dulcet tones and fat fingers rolling around on the pad, maybe not the best example of AR, but hopefully just show you how simple it is.
Yeah, I think it's the idea also for the part that is following afterwards. If somebody wants to try something out, it really takes literally a few minutes.
It's the overview of Citizen M. We had it last week in London.
You spotted it. Yeah, you spotted it.
Okay, so I think we have time for some questions, right? Before we're going into.
We do.
I don't have a question, but I'll just chime in because this is fascinating to see this app in its function. But we've actually been looking at augmented reality through a company out of Sweden called XM Reality, which you may have heard of. But and we've been looking at it more in terms of how we can scale and create efficiencies around engineering staff with buildings that we operate. So how can you consolidate, a chief engineer that's got a pretty wide skill set, with maybe apprentices, whether it's in the same building or in a block of buildings around a city or around a country, using the tool to show them how to do things, right? Which has been fascinating to demo from our side. And we've been trying to think of different use cases, in terms of not just kind of click and show, but even to the extent that I think with the device we're looking at with XM, you can literally put your hands through the system and start pointing and showing, how to do things. So, I'm just kind of putting an explanation point to what you're saying. That, I mean, we see tons of uses, and I think what you've just shown is actually increased my thought on what else we could do with it.
Exactly. And I think it's just like for visualizing things that are very complex. That's why I had the example with the brain, right? That it has so many different layers, and it's so easy to just push it on or off, and then you can see how everything is built. And obviously, with also different complex processes. So there is an example that was made from Google Glasses a few years back, where they did something with Boeing for the cables that are built in airplanes. So what they did was, because they have, I don't know how many kilometers of cables in every airplane, and they have to match all the cables and see how they're connected, and they have such books. So every time they're just going and looking into the book, doing the step, and then next page, next book. And with augmented reality, they have all the steps one after the other. So they were like 70% more efficient than the old way with the books.
Yeah. With this, with the company with XM, what was interesting is their roots were in bomb decommissioning. So their bomb squads, because they didn't have enough qualified soldiers that could actually go out and handle bomb squad issues. So literally they could have someone somewhere else having somebody like give it to Paul Rands and he could go in and save the world. From another place. So yeah, it's fascinating. So I appreciate you showing all this to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I've just thrown in a quick little straw poll, very simple, 3 questions, just to see if we can get a flavor of everyone's experience around AR. Hopefully you can see that. If not, then clearly I need to go back to tech school. But no, that's super interesting, Lee, actually. And I think
we're like 6 or 8 months into kind of playing with it and trying to just again figure out the appropriate cases. We hadn't really jumped all the way into the consumer side, although I mean, again, this opens up so many different pathways. But more importantly, Paul, my wife bought a new Italian coffee machine, which is a constant debate here how to use it. So I just want to hit a button where it fills something this big. Unfortunately, I just get these little tiny cups, so I'm just working on it.
No, that sounds useful. I'm also really glad that sentence ended with coffee machine. I thought it was going to stop at Italian, but okay. So as let's see if my poll is. Oh yeah, brilliant! It does work. It does work. Okay, so interesting. So there's a bit of uptake on AR here. And yeah, some of you think about it in the business, and you don't think it's a gimmick. Brilliant.
Sergio, what are your thoughts on AI? I mean, obviously AI is coming right at us now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in AR, how do you see those things evolving in the short and I guess the long term?
I think we already have some examples, and the best one would be, again, from Google, using translation. When you have the camera and you just choose the languages that you want to translate and just hold it over the menu or whatever you want to have translated. And, the AI is just recognizing where the text is, translating it and putting in augmented reality again back. So I think rather things that will help us in this way. I think also I saw an example, in a building where you have, all the different pipes and then electricity, which is behind the walls, and using with AI that you can just see where, if something is wrong, just scan the wall, and then it will tell you, okay, this is the problem. This is where you should get in before you have to tear down a whole wall. So these are things that I think will go into AI. Obviously, on the generative side, on the art side, is a total different topic that I can talk another hour about it. I think it's very interesting. And just going back to the idea, it's just the playground. Everything that we're doing now, we're just playing around and try to find out which will be, the solution. We don't have to approach it. It's like, how Meta did it. It's like, now we have a new name. Everything will be Meta. Now we're changing. We know exactly what we're doing, because nobody really knows what they're doing. So it's just like, this playful idea there is a new technology. Let's see how we can use it. Let's put it out there, see what's the user experience, see what's coming back. And then you're going back to the drawing table and see how we can change it to make it better.
That's interesting. And actually, Sergio, when looking at the Statista slide that you had with actually the number of users is still quite small, isn't it? I think if you look at in terms of ratios to populations, but the projections there are quite dramatic, and I think.
Yeah, so for AR, it's much easier. We already did. So I think many people used augmented reality without knowing. If you ever used Facebook face filter or aging filter, or one of the fun parts, that's also augmented reality. But we weren't aware because we were, looking at the experience, the value that was creating. So that's also a very important part, because most of the people who are in the VR, AR space, because the technology is so, advanced, and we can do so many things, that people are more trying to find problems that the technology can solve instead of finding, having the problems and trying to find the technology.
Great stuff. Okay, so we're now going to jump into 3 breakout rooms. There's a healthy group in each room, I think. Each room has a theme, and a very short scenario. We listened to you after Barcelona with our perhaps too long scenario. So we're trying to keep it nice and straight and simple. The rooms are going to be led by myself, Arturo, and Aisha. Hello, everybody. And Sergio is going to slip between each room and listen in and answer any questions and any suggestions. So we're going to go and do that for about 20 minutes or so, 20, 25 minutes, and then we'll come back and just highlight a couple of the sort of thoughts out of the rooms before we wrap up. And no, I'll wait until the end for the homework bit, but we'll come back to that. So I think you've all been allocated a room, so you'll kind of automatically slot into them. Elena, if you are there and in charge, we can head off to the breakout rooms. We'll see you back shortly. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back. Sergio, I think you were moving between the rooms.
Yes.
Anything that jumped out, particularly from what you heard?
So I saw that all groups were very active, a lot of ideas, and I'm very happy that we were able to inspire. And like you mentioned just before the other room closed, we encourage everybody to use Artivive. So maybe take the ideas that you had today and invest like 15 minutes, half an hour to just do a prototype. It's extremely easy. You can just, like you saw and we mentioned, take a picture of something and record something with your phone and uploaded it. And then you can share it with the group in the next call, or maybe over the I think you also have a common chat, right, Paul? So
yeah,
you can also
right.
record through the app and send it. And the thing is, like, there are some things that I saw in the different groups that are coming up, with ideas, with having posted, and leave messages in the room saying for maintenance or for cleaning up the room, as well as getting around and understanding the space. So there are some common parts that seems like would make sense in all the groups. But yeah, maybe it would be great if we could share the whiteboard. I don't know how it would be from your side the best.
Yeah, we could. I think that will work. So I mean, I could just share our senior one with everybody. Yeah, we'll. I think we'll take sort of maybe 2 or 3 minutes from each group, just as a summary. Now, I mean, I was in the senior living group. I think it was a good discussion. As you can see, it's actually, I lost the whiteboard, so it's really nice to see it now. But fortunately, everyone else could see it and was able to get some post-its up there. But I think it was a good discussion. I think there were lots of interesting ideas about how this could be used. We were trying to focus on how we could improve maybe safety and security, and then also how we can maybe solve some of the challenges that might exist using the AR tool. And I think one of the things that Tom raised was that from his research experience ahead of their launch with their senior living brand, is that people are interested in technology and they think it's highly appropriate. It needs to work around screens and being able to see that, and I think that's be considered there, and that. Yeah, we talked about maybe being able to find things in the room, potentially around that sort of cognitive challenges and maybe dementia and forgetfulness, that being able to sort of remind what things are. I think JR mentioned, remembering about family members, and so potentially being able to scan a photo in a photo frame, and it be able to sort of tell you, you know, what the name of your grandchild is and how old they are, for example. And I think, yeah, Anya mentioned, you know, on the theme of the sticky notes, that potentially there could be something about, you know, finding things and within your room, like, you know, your keys, etc. Carmen picked up particularly about the remote control guidance, that sort of remote guidance that you know, providing a visual actually was something that was quite apt. And then I think finally, Shane, you know, just talking about sort of wayfinding maybe from that safety point and exiting the rooms that potentially, you know, that could be useful for, and maybe even, and I don't know if the technology is here for it yet, but that you could point it at the room and it will tell you who the last person that was there was. So that was our group. Arturo?
Yes, I'm gonna go for it. Hope you can see it now. Can you see it? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, quite interesting ideas. Also, our focus were more service apartments, apart hotels, and more like business travelers, for example. And one of the contributions, for example, from Lee was also, for example, that he was mentioning that we could improve the cleaning services by having a checklist using AR that could also help us to, for example, reduce the amount of time that we spend in training, or that we need to put in training of the personnel or the staff for this, and then having this checklist might help us for that. Also, for example, Johannes was mentioning that it's important that maybe we could help to explain the functionalities of the room, and perhaps by having a guest map where you can show all the lighting, a bit of what you were doing with your exercise, Paul, and yeah, to show the different services. And one of Johannes, one of the phrases that he told was like, yeah, I want to live the experience. I want to live what I'm seeing there. And then also another contribution was about like perhaps we can increase the conversion rates with using AR by showing how the rooms look like, how they we can compare in terms of making the comparison with other offers like hotel rooms, or for example how it was mentioned also how difficult it is to show how big an apartment is, and maybe AR could help us to do that. And connect to that point, Michael was telling us that perhaps upselling is AR is a tool that we can use for upselling, to show for different kind of the service, to show the different services, and by using like relevant visuals. Another contribution was that perhaps it could help us to navigate to places that maybe Google Maps are not helping too much. Also a bit what Sergio was mentioning during his presentation, and one question that was like also or that emerged during the brainstorming was from Lee, and that she was mentioning that what could be the limitations of using AR. Maybe we can, this is something that is more for Sergio to answer. But yeah, in general, I think that was a brainstorming. And at the end, we just mentioned that the contribution of AR could be like to make the experience more smooth, and to have like a higher quality of services, and to perhaps improve the offer and the revenue with all these ideas. That was more or less the contribution.
Great.
If I miss something, please, Lee and Johannes and everyone that was in, please let me know.
No.
That's great.
Well done.
Thank you, guys. You were hanging out down in Gen YZ Road. So what did you guys come up with?
Okay, so yes, 1 second. It looked different before. It got smaller again because I tried to make everything larger. So basically, what our discussion was about was how to make the lives of these guests easier. We also have to mention that these generations grew up with technology compared to the other users, so they will be more into it perhaps. And 1 second, just making it, yeah. So what we came up with is how AR could help us is showing us around, also looking into navigation, not only in the building itself, but if we're looking from the student perspective, how we could go to the university, showing around the university, giving like a brochure that we could scan, but as well also helping the students creating like a black wall where they can put up like learning goals, deadlines, how to keeping up the motivation. Also for the co-living part of probably that's similar to the rest, like a cleaning plan, also a manual on how to use certain things such as Wi-Fi and other appliances, for example, the washing machine, which we usually have in these asset classes, but also in the design of the furniture or a layout, and not only when we're there, but also before we even start booking, that the guests or students or even the parents have the opportunity to get into the room and look into how about like to see how the amenities are, about the different sizes of the rooms before even get into the property itself or traveling all the way to the property. And then also on the other side, we discussed how we could engage and build up the community in such asset. Was also a lot of through gamification, in, for example, having a room where people could play against each other, showing their interests, something like a matchmaker where you put in what you're interested in. For example, for, I don't know, going out, or I'm owning a dog, let's go out together to take away the shyness that you have when you go into a place. But also we were thinking of giving the user a face that we like when we're walking around in the public areas, that we actually know, oh, that person is living here, that's her name, she has or he has these interests, maybe I can connect with that person because I know I have the same interests, to take away the boundaries and barriers that there might be if I'm new to a place. And all in all, if we look at this, we could say that this AR could help in the engagement of people in co-living or student accommodations, because most of the time they're just new to a place, don't know each other, and having this there could just help ease out everything, just in order to make new connections and to make them easier to, make lives easier in general. And
Brilliant.
that was our outcome.
Thank you, Aisha. And the neatest whiteboard.
Actually, now I have another one that was fuller, but like that is only shared with me, so I will share it with you afterwards.
Very good, very good. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for enthusiastically getting stuck into those that session and contributing. Sergio, I guess some final words from you.
Yes, thank you very much. I also got a lot of ideas, and thank you so much for engaging and sharing. And I will share my email address in the chat. So if you're trying out and you're building some prototypes and you need help, feel free to reach out, and we can jump also on a call. And I think Arturo mentioned that there was a question: where is the limitation of augmented reality? I think the most important limitation is in the user experience. Is like, how far will people go to understand what's happening? Because it still has a lot of inputs until people are understanding what's happening and how they can use the technology. So I think that's the biggest limitation. And the second, and I'm coming back to the idea and the example with Volkswagen, really think about the value that you're adding. And I think there were in two different people mentioning an application that helped to mount TVs to have a better feeling of how big the screens are and how high you should mount it and how you can experience it like playing in a video and understanding how it will look like. And these are the examples where you're looking at value and not at the technology. So that's my, I would say, final words for today. And thank you so much all. It was a big pleasure. Yeah, and I hope to be in touch.
Very, very good. Well, if we'd like to let's give him a loud round of applause.
Yes. Yes. Shall we move on, Paul? Or
really appreciate. I think very.
I'm just gonna share my screen again. Hope you can see it. So yeah, I think many good ideas and many things to reflect. And thank you, Sergio, once again for helping us. And I think, as he said, like, we are going to share his contact details, and we are also going to share all the documents, documentation from the workshop, for example, also with you after the meeting, so you can also have it. And yeah, and now we are going to go into a coffee break. But before going to the coffee break, I think it's a 15 minutes break. And but before going, we are going to share with you a link in the chat, so you can help us to register in case you are not registered to Miro boards, because the next session is it's gonna be relevant for the next session. So now I'm gonna share it with you whenever I find it. Sorry, because now I'm sharing. Yes, I have it here. So if you can register before going into the coffee break, that would be great, because for the next session is relevant. And if you agree, Paul, then maybe we come back here in 15 minutes. That means 4:25.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Just let me know if everyone can see the link in the chat, please. And if you can, we can go for the coffee break.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you very much. See you in a bit.
Thanks. See you.
Thanks, everyone. See you shortly. Okay. Well, welcome back, everybody. And I hope, and I'm pretty sure you did, actually, judging by the sort of reactions, but I hope you found that first session interesting. Clearly, it's something that's out there. It's been around for a bit, but looks like it's here to stay. And I think that thinking about it very much about usability and the user at the heart, rather than just being about technology. And clearly, judging by the poll, none of you think it's a gimmick. So, or very few of you do. So that's it's all good to see. Okay, so we now kick straight on into the second part of our meeting today. And I'm delighted to introduce the newly formed band. They say I think, when you think back at the great bands in history, there's always break-offs projects, isn't there? From the the lead singer always heads off, or the guitarist. Anyway, we have that with our digital solution squad. So as I mentioned earlier, this is something that's grown out of the project, which is really exciting to see. So I can already start to feel like a proud parent. Thank you, guys. Really interesting, I think, just getting the brains together and like-minded thoughts, and start debating some issues, which I think has led to, as things do when you explore and have good conversations, the Digital Solutions Squad. And I think I'm right in saying that the lead singer there in the middle, Marcus, was probably introduced, I think, through Elisa and Johannes, who I think knew Marcus, and together they're collaborating and experimenting around thoughts. Now I won't spoil too much, because they will go on and explain a little bit more about what they're going to do today, and then potentially the future next stages as well. Just a brief sort of introduction to Marcus. So Marcus's business is Like Magic. It's part of the SV group, and Like Magic, I think I'm right in saying, Marcus, is a user-centric digital platform which is delivered via mobile web app. Is that, I think, hopefully I'm right there. And Marcus is a really interesting guy. His background, I think, is in financial services around the sort of credit card industry. And I think you came into hospitality about 3 years ago. And I think I've seen how sometimes we're a little bit sort of behind the curve, perhaps, in the world of hospitality. And you've introduced some interesting ideas and tested real time in a live property in Switzerland. So anyway, we'll let you explain a little bit more about that. But ladies and gentlemen, I'll hand you over to the Digital Solutions Squad.
Okay, Elisa, do you want to kick off? Would you mind with the Mentimeter? Would that be okay?
Of course, we can. Okay, so we will start with a short questionnaire via Mentimeter. I hope everybody knows this tool. If not, it's like a questionnaire. You have to fill out 3 points of what is a guest journey for you. So it's really important for us that everybody looks at this topic, guest journey, from their point of view. We have some operators here, we have some architects here, we have some we have lawyers here, and so on. We have suppliers here, we have investors here. It's really important that you give the answers from your opportunity. I will give you now the link in the chat, and probably you can scan it with your mobile phone what you like more. Wait a minute, I will share it, and you have and you have also the QR code and the Mentimeter. And afterwards, we have a word cloud of everything that everybody answered. So let me start, copy it. Okay. Firstly, this is the first code. You will see it right now in the chat. Probably it's the best if you scan it via your mobile phone. So please feel free to tell us what a guest journey is for you about in the hospitality or service in the service apartment segment. I will share my screen real quick so you have an overview of what the word cloud is all about. I hope you can all see it, right? So what is the guest journey for you? We have 2 questions in this whole questionnaire here. I see 23 participants. That's great. Okay. So we will not get into deep of the results. We will do some kind of like 2-part thing here. We will do the first part to get everybody in the same knowledge from a guest journey, even for more of like a digital guest journey in this session right now. And then we will continue in Copenhagen with to get more into detail, to make a callback to this whole topic and so on. Okay, so it's pretty cool that everybody writes these one-word explanation. Cool. Okay, so convenience, easy. Care, smooth. Kindness, engagement, hassle-free, really good. The set of the product, okay. Efficiency, quick, frictionless. Wow, so many words. Drive revenue grow, okay, that's good. Personalized. Okay, so I see 19 people already voted. We will also share the results afterwards with all of you, so you don't have to take screenshots or something like that. To stay, way to experience offers, security, definitely good point from you. Okay, so 21. We have 28 participants, so I will just wait when we got, oh no, 26. So I will just wait till we got all the 26 person to vote here, or 25 now I see it. 23, why are you all leaving this? Okay. Great, so sync digital and analog, feeling welcome, pretty good point. So, atmosphere, digital, effortless, feeling welcome, non-intrusive, that's great. To be service designed, pretty good point. Core of modern hospitality. All right, yes, oh no, 23 people now voted, okay. So last, I don't know, 10 seconds. And then we will switch to the next question. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Now, please click on the next question that you have. I guess it's the same copy link actually. If not, then you can have it. No, it's the same copy link. You can ask just the next question. Now we want to know, why do we need, in your opinion, a digital guest journey? So first question was about the whole guest journey in general, so entering the room, pre-booking, and so on. Now we want to know what is actually a digital guest journey, or why do we need a digital guest journey? What are the important points in your discussion? Because we are the Digital Solution Squad, so digitality is really important for us. And you can not only write one word, actually you can even write some sentences if this is better for you. So I hope it works for everybody, but I see many people are entering this question already. That's great. Use my phone end to end. Yeah, we also said, we saw it from Sergio that the phone is everywhere, even with the augmented reality. We have our phone the whole time in our hands to get this cool app there working. Okay, so browser based, I guess that's what you mean with browser, millennials and Gen Z. So we have to talk with them or speak with them during this digital guest journey. We have speed, definitely. Yeah, it can happen via smartphone. We already got this personalized, ease, quick, digital age, attractiveness, personalized. Competitive advantage is really cool, yeah. Absolutely, most hotels still have everything analog, so not digital. Improve service, absolutely, to survive the market, yeah, good point. It's really good to see all of you from your different sectors, the answers here. And actually really different answers, in my opinion. It can be creative, yeah. You have an overview of the digital guest journey, absolutely. The accessibility. Yes, we have 2 less employees. I guess everybody knows this in every region. The employees are going away. Okay, So we have 23 persons that voted and 23 persons are in this Miro board. So I guess we are done for this question. I will just stop sharing my screen real quick so that we can get to the next one. I will get in present mode and will share with you the next link in this chat. You can even scan this here. Question 3 from our what we want to know is, what are your pain points with a digital guest journey? You already said it should be easy, but maybe you have also done some experiences with a digital guest journey. What is not working? What is in your opinion the most critical thing in a guest journey, in a digital guest journey actually?
Alicia, are you sharing the results of the first 2 Mentimeters, or because can you, or where do you see those?
Oh, I'm screen sharing. Don't I? No.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
There we go.
Okay.
Cool.
No, we can see it.
Perfect. Thanks for the notification, Shane.
Okay. I thought I was looking at it in the actual where I was entering the words that the slide would update, and
I
yeah,
definitely wanted to show it, but afterwards I can make some screenshots in the chat so you can also see it. Okay, so pain points with a digital guest journey is keeping up to date, Wi-Fi password, poor connectivity, not end-to-end, okay, technical problems. So we see many technical things. It's often complex. We have too many clicks. We also have the chance that it gets boring for a user and they don't want to use it actually. So just think about when you were, for example, in a hotel. I mean, everybody of us stayed in a hotel. For example, when we stayed at a social hub in Barcelona. What went wrong? No battery of your phone? Yeah, absolutely. Generation gaps. Yeah, we saw it at the questionnaire earlier with senior living and student living. Internet slow, too rigid, not adaptable, keeping it up to date. That's already got updates, costs. Okay, so 15 people voted. I would love to get the last persons to vote here. I will get to 23 actually, because that was the amount of people that voted in the questionnaire before. Download an app. Yes, true. Security issues again, yes, absolutely. Okay, so 4 people left. Add your answers and then we can continue with the Digital Solution Squad and tell you what we want to do different, or give you some impulses about all these digital guest journey things. Timing. Okay, 2 to go. Send your words right in and then we got our word cloud finished. Okay, countdown of 10 and we are done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks. That was the first questionnaire to get all of you into the thinking of a digital guest journey. What's the difference between a guest journey or a digital guest journey, and to get your opinion out of your sector about this whole thing. Thank you for participating with us. I will head over now to Marcus.
Very good. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for the intro, Paul, and also the opportunity. I'm not so sure about the singing bit, I think, but we'll still figure this out in our team. So what I want to show you is now, right, we'll take you right to the journey that we have developed to run our own properties. Let me quickly share my screen. You should see a mobile.
Yep.
Very good. So we'll actually start at the booking side of things. It's a little video. I will just comment on it while it plays. I think yes, you actually look for a hotel. Then you look at the rooms. That's not so exciting yet. I think this is stock standard. You look at the prices, and then you actually just book. You book, and you can actually book multiple properties at the same time. It's like shopping at Amazon. Obviously, you can utilize your credit card details that you have used before. So you actually only need to enter the CVC. So it's actually very handy and efficient. And then you're already done with booking. So we're actually getting it to the next step, is basically inviting you to actually start to digitally check in. What you can see here now is basically Cyril comes a second time. So the system, like magic, actually recognizes Cyril. So Cyril doesn't have to enter the data twice. Cyril just basically confirms the data. That's what we actually have built in the back. It's automated guest profile generation. And one of application is basically the fast check-in for our guests. If you just go a bit further, I think what Cyril can do as well when he comes the first time, that he can actually choose how he wants to interact with us. So he chooses the communication channel, how he actually wants to talk to the hosts. And here it's just, again, just confirming the data, and then paying with the pre-stored credit card details, obviously also everything PCI DSS compliant. So, and then it's done, and you're ready for step number 3, basically arriving at the property. Here we go. So you actually get to the property, and boom, I think here you actually get through now the collaboration with IMS. You get actually very, very easy access to Wi-Fi. Go on a bit. Then obviously on the key side of things, in collaboration with Hefele, we can actually give you access to any type of key, being it the front door, being it the room key, the gym, the spa, whatever it is, being it is in online or offline mode. And the exciting thing about the wallet, it's actually coming very, very soon. What you can do, before, basically, we haven't shown you this now, but before you get there, you can actually book additional services. It's sort of the traditional bit, like a early check-in or a baby bed. But what we have actually created together with Hefele, is basically a box concept where you can actually rent items either in a public space or in your room. So you basically just click on the item, you actually buy it, you get the key, open the door, and then you take it out. So this is just like the way we actually rethink in terms of also additional services. So make it more interesting and also more attractive, both for the guests, but also for the operator. Now, if you actually liked it so much that you said, hey, my stay is not yet over, I would like to stay a little bit more. Well, easier said than done. You just extend your stay yourself. We actually check availability. You pay with the credit card details, which are already stored, and here we go. So this in a nutshell was basically, and this is not fiction, this is reality. This is a reality solution up and running for 2.5 years. Now let me put this quickly into context. It's not going to take long, but just to give you sort of the overall view what we actually have developed. Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I said we're part of, Like Magic is part of S3 Group, a large hospitality provider operating in DACH, and we developed Like Magic to run our own properties in the most efficient way and with a great experience. And we saw it before with the poll, with a great experience, not only for the guests, but also for the employees. Our guests are fully digital, from booking, getting into the house, into the room. So that's why our employees, our hosts, they can really take care of their guests. They can take care of their needs. Now, this actually really, in order to accomplish that, and also what we have shown you, you actually need to work with tech. So how did we start? We actually started like this. When I joined after 20 years from credit card hospitality in January 2020, the project team showed me this completely fragmented landscape of business critical applications: access, payment, booking. I asked these 3 questions to the team. How do we know if that stuff always works or if it doesn't work? Access, payment. So how can we then help our guests on the digital journey, and where's the data? And to be honest, if you digitize it that way, you have no real good answers to create that experience and the good experience for the guest. And looking at how most actually hospitality providers digitize, they do it in that way. So that's why we actually went from here to there in 7 months. What we did, we put together Like Magic, a digital platform, API-based, cloud-based, that simply connects the front ends, the guests, but also the employees with all the other systems, multiple PMSs, log systems, messaging, and so forth. So you get huge advantages. One advantage obviously is you know what is happening in your hotel. You actually know what's happening with your processes. I guess that was not a question. And then I think you actually get access to your data. So let me just put this into solution context. I think you saw a glimpse now of the digital guest journey. It's web app. We saw it again in the Mentimeter. You know, you don't want to download. Nobody wants to download another app. That's why we actually consistently decided, hey, we actually want to have this developed as a web app. It's seamless from booking, right, basically into the room, out of the room, and it's personalized. So basically, we recognize guests. They can choose their communication channels, and you can actually book additional services, being it like sort of the additional ones like early check-in, late checkout, or the box concept that we've shown you. Now, because we actually use that software to run our own hotels, we also needed to think about and wanted to think about our employees. Because if you take your guest digital, the work for the employees changes. That's why we created an employee solution. It basically puts, because we're in the middle, data at their fingertips. So you can see it basically, we work with colors. So the system tells you if a guest has a potential problem, and then it also gives you the resolution action. It allows you to communicate from host to guest in a very nice and easy way. It allows you to collaborate host to host and task management. Just to give you an example, if the battery status goes down to 20%, a task is issued immediately to maintenance. Now I've shown you sort of the two elements that run in the front, basically for the guests and the employees. How do we get to these orange and red colors? Now, it's basically what runs in the back. Hoteliers don't see that, but this is very important. Left-hand side, we're in the middle of everything. Basically, when I showed you this one here, sorry, we're in the middle with like magic between the front ends and all the other applications. That's why left-hand side, we monitor each and every application on a per second basis. So if something fails, we know. If it's the PMS, we know, then we push the PMS and get back to the hotel as well. And what you see on the right-hand side is basically the digital process of a guest. We know each and every step. So if the guest doesn't do a step, for example, doesn't upload the passport, we know. And what do we do in that case? We go back to the employees, put it to red, tell them what has happened, and basically propose a resolution action. Now just put this into the tech stack, and then I'm almost done. Now we actually see how you see how we've orchestrated this. That's why collaborations with companies like IMS and Häfele are so great, because you cannot do and not basically tackle these challenges all by yourself. So the platform in the middle, left-hand side, it's all the applications we've developed on our own. And right-hand side, we just integrate best-in-class systems. That's basically how we create the ecosystem. For us as an operator, again, we have options. If I'm no longer happy with Apaleo, I switch to Muse. I have the option, but I think I can also innovate very, very quickly. And I think a very good example is the collaboration between IMS and Häfele. Now, to put this into numbers, solution has been up and running for 2.5 years. And then we pretty soon realized this thing is way too good to keep to ourselves. That's why we white labeled it for now 10 to 11 months. We're out in DACH with more than 30 hotels and service apartments. Self-check-in checkout rate is at 95%, depending on concept. That's really important, how far you want to drive digitization. Guests are really happy, and also employees can really perform a lot of their daily tasks from one platform. And I saw it again in the Mentimeter. It's not only about efficiency, because you have data. So you can actually work on the revenue side as well. So this, again, sort of in a nutshell, is what Like Magic is all about. We really built that platform to run our own properties very efficiently, and then realized basically that, hey, I think there's a need in the market from others. And now we're out there, obviously still serving our Stayco properties as well, and further developing the solution with great partners like IMS and Häfele. Then Lisa, I think it's over to Paul, or Lisa, it's over to you again.
No interference. Paul, will we open the breakout rooms?
Yeah, we'll get those open, and I think just to thank you, Marcus, for that, and just to stress what what the guys would like to do today, and I think in the breakout rooms over the next 20 minutes or so, and each of them will be leading one of those rooms, is to really kind of chew around the subject of this digital journey, try and get some feedback from us all about what we like, what we don't like, whether that's from a professional perspective or from our personal experiences, actually. And when we sort of sat down and they originally sort of pitched the idea to us that they'd like to sort of do something within the meeting, it was always about being a two-part process. And I think the next thing from today will be for them to take away the feedback and apply that into their thinking and what they've been looking at there. And then I think they've got some ideas for a really great immersive experience when we come together in Copenhagen in person. And certainly they were telling me a little bit about some of their ideas last week, and I think it'll be really cool and fun in that session. But actually it will have been a session devised and led by your all of your contributions in this one. And again, it comes back to the sharing of ideas and collaboration approach that we're constantly seeking here through the project. So thank you both of you so far. I think we're going to go into the breakout rooms now, and we'll be in those for about 20 minutes or so, and then come back, share some of the findings.
Okay.
Marcus, you got cut in full flow there, didn't you?
Sorry, I didn't catch that one, Paul.
Yeah, we lost you. You were in a full flow of something, and then we all got kicked out. So, but
it's all
I
right.
think you were saying the purpose of it. Yeah.
No, I think you don't digitize for the sake of digitize. You really think about where can I add value. And maybe there's some processes that you just leave analog.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that.
Okay, squad. How do you want to run the next 15 minutes or so? Feeding back from.
We're losing you a little bit, Paul, but I can share screen and then we can give the key points from each room. We'll try not to duplicate the feedback to save as much time as possible. So I don't know if the guys have appointed a speaker from each room, but I'll just share my screen there now. And the first question was, what did you like in the demo? So Johannes, your team, whether you're the speaker or whether there's someone in your room that is a speaker, would you mind just giving some feedback from the room in terms of what you liked, please?
Yes, we are very busy, or we were. No, what we liked in the demo, what we found out is just the combination of many systems into one application. That is the integration that I can handle many, like revenue management. I can handle my housekeeping, and only in one application. And also what was my question also to the team, because we spoke then about the Nobu in Hamburg, what is a luxury project in Hamburg. And I asked, okay, is this in the luxury segment also can be used a web application or an app, for example, is this suitable for luxury guests? And so the answer was definitely yes, instead of to make the stay more comfortable also for the luxury guests. And what was also nice, it was that I can handle with this application different segments like long stay, short stays, even residential I could handle with this solution. So then we found out also the better efficiency in the operations, very comfortable also for luxury hotels, and the VIP treatments can be and value add-in, for example, that the hotel knows exactly when the special guest arrives, or that there's the concierge outside and so on. So it's a very flexible solution.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you, Johannes. And the feedback in our room, as you can see, a lot of it centered around the ease of use, the intuition of the interface, the integration. So everyone really likes the fragmented landscape that Marcus showed, and then that application overlay, tying everything together. Not having to download an application was really positive feedback. I think the stats around that are somewhere between 10 and 20% of actual branded full-on applications are actually downloaded, so the download rates are quite low. Not having to repopulate data, so if it remembers me as a user. Obviously there's a challenge there around data security and duplication, which we can cover later. And people like that it linked to the Wi-Fi as well. So some good feedback there in our room. And then we have the green team. Shane, would you mind?
Yeah, quite some of the quite similar stuff: integrated system, interchangeable apps, not having to download different apps to do different things, easy to use, easy to understand. And there was what our group thought was that the examples that were given were easy to understand.
Excellent, thanks, Shane. And finally, the blue team, Elisa, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so Damiak, I will do it right now. We just said, hey, we can do it together, but that's fine. Yeah, the video visualization was great to understand it. It was understand real quick, actually, with the short video. Our main points were the user experience here. So how easy, how seamless, how intuitive it was. And what's also really interesting, in my opinion, is that the feedback that the automatic request of stay extension was really cool for my team.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. And Elisa, we might start with you on the second question. So what did your team feel that was missing from what was the journey that was shown earlier by Marcus?
Yeah, okay. So one point was the white labeling opportunities that they were really interested in the white labeling opportunities. I guess that's no problem to show them that. The next time in Copenhagen, for example, the main feedback here was also that it was quite short, a presentation, and to say what is not, or what they don't like, what they kind of like dislike. They can better say it if they had a more detailed introduction in this whole system, actually. But there were also some questions, like, can I connect to my profile of Netflix, Apple Music, Amazon? So some other applications, and it's difficult to grasp all the features in such a small amount of time. So it's more kind of like what's not so cool. Also the topic data security here with collection and use of visitor data, but it's more like questions and open questions, or that it was just the amount of time.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Elisa. Thank you. And Shane, just to add any different points, please?
Yeah, the demonstrating the ability to book on behalf of somebody else, right? That was something that the demo didn't show. And again, for corporate stays and so forth, there's often somebody else taking care of the booking, different to the guest. That you don't have to install multiple apps. This was something that should be emphasized more in the demo. And more emphasis should be given to guest benefits. So quite a lot of benefits for the operator, but what is the guest benefit and what is the value being driven towards the guest, right? Because that's really a huge thing to attract better revenue and so forth. Option and also the option to give less information if required. This idea of switching completely to a digital environment as opposed to a hybrid environment where the digital, you can go, if you're comfortable, go the full way, and the guest that is comfortable can avail of the full digital experience. But if a guest is not comfortable and doesn't want to give certain information, that they can avail of some of the digital guest experience. And again, that was, my group felt that wasn't in the demo enough or at all. Okay.
Yeah, so a more modular type experience, Shane, yeah, on that side.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so I'll try not to duplicate any points. Integration with the room heating and lighting control was a point made in our room. So obviously, one of the things that Paul showed earlier had this integration done. So it was just, is that possible through this application? Maybe linking to the augmented reality or virtual reality that we saw in the first session as well. So continue that digitalization show, you know, your journey to your room, for example, or your journey to shared amenities in the building. And the integration of IoT sensor technology as well. The brand independent usage, I think that can be addressed in a simple Q&A with Marcus, and then, you know, where to access the web-based, you know, the link. Again, that would just be a link that the guest receives, you know, when they are booking, but Marcus can address that as well. And Johannes, is there anything else from your side, from your room?
Thank you. Yes, what we missed was also a fallback solution. I mean, if my mobile is off or I do not have any energy, for example, on self-check-in kiosk or something, that I can create my own card, for example. And the other add-in could be more information. What you told, okay, I can choose what informations do I want to have, but for example, more informations about the space, how is at the moment the spa area used, and do I have enough space or something like this.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Johannes. And on the concerns, Johannes, your team had data security obviously being the primary concern. Was there anything else to come up in the conversation for you guys?
No.
Okay. Short and sweet. Excellent. Yeah, so data security was a big point for us. Data duplication as well. If there's a slight difference in the data that I enter, you know, between capitals or adding a space, or for example, or my address, you know, how does the system handle that in the back end? How did it know my details already? So what happens if I stay with a different brand? Was another item raised. Issues addressing group bookings was a very good point made by Lee in our room. So how do we deal with that? Where there's a single leader has made a booking on behalf of, say, 10 different rooms. How does that get managed in a digital journey? Obviously, lack of good Wi-Fi and connectivity. So if I arrive at the hotel and I can't connect to the internet, I maybe don't have data roaming, what happens for me at that point? And then obviously no battery on my device as well. And some of these, Marcus, I don't know if you want to come in at the end and address some of the key ones that come up a number of times, but I'll let Shane, you know, Shane, would you mind adding your points from your team on this piece?
Yeah, so when something goes wrong, what happens? I think that's, you know, we get immersed in the digital experience, but then when something goes wrong, we just want to talk to somebody, solve it and sort it out for me, because I'm lost, you know. That the system will meet the needs of tech customers in the future and stay relevant. So the ability to grow with new demands. The accessibility of the system and potential exclusion of certain demographics. So Granny is going to stay in the hotel and Granny doesn't have the latest smartphone, right? So how does she deal with this? Not just Granny, but also maybe just people that mightn't be comfortable with technology. Also the potential of a system like this to become obsolete as customers' needs are changing. And also that the user interface needs to be slick and offer value from a time perspective. So we're all time short. How can we offer real value to the guest by lowering the amount of time involved in the check-in, the booking, the entire experience end to end? And you know that sometimes digital experiences can create frustrations and lead to frustrations. So this is something we want, our group wanted to avoid, obviously. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
My group also said that maybe it's not personal. So with not personal, we mean that it focuses too much on the digital and forgets about the on-site experience. And I think this is a really good input actually to say, hey, maybe the concept we search is how we make it hybrid. So how we can combine this whole thing with digital guest journey, but not miss the on-site experience. And everything was the same, but we also got one note here with the users using it and the guest is deciding how much the technology is being used and if it's accepted in the market. So this is also something where we maybe should need some, or where we want some data here from some pilot projects or from concrete projects that we have here. Exactly.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, I think we're good on time there, Paul. That's all the feedback from the rooms. So I'm not sure if you want to, Marcus, I don't know if you want to wrap up or take any of the points that were raised. And
I think, Danny, look, first of all, thank you so much for taking your time and also the feedback. I think what is so great now, now we've done it online. Next time you're going to be face to face. And I'm a firm believer that when you actually want to show something that becomes tangible, you need to be there, you need to be able to touch it. And I think we can actually show some great things again in that collaboration. Maybe just one thing I would like to add, and we had that in our group. I think you as a brand, you need to decide how far you take digital. And that gives you the example of basically a conversation I had with someone operating five stars in Zurich. And I asked him, well, is digital even a topic for you? And Johannes, you also pointed it out. He says, yes, it is, but only for a certain segment. So I think it really depends how you want to position your brand, and then you basically use the technology accordingly and digitization accordingly. This is hugely important. And the great thing about not only our solution, there's other solutions out there, it is there. Either you decide it's just an additional channel, you take it to the reception, maybe to the room, maybe into the room, or even afterwards. And I think that this is hugely important. And then maybe one last comment. I think, yes, there's obviously a fallback solution because technology not always works. But we don't have these clunky check-in kiosks that cost a fortune. We basically have a tablet, and guess what? On the tablet, there's the digital journey. And I think, but this is something you can actually experience then in Copenhagen to really see how that works. And I think maybe one last one, coming from Switzerland, having worked in the credit card space, data security is basically at the heart, and I think it's so important that we treat data really carefully. We're always with the consent of the guest. Otherwise, I think you're going to have huge issues. But again, thank you so much for your input. I think that gave the squad good input then actually to further develop it and then to actually make it tangible in Copenhagen.
Thanks, Marcus. Great. I have one point left. Sorry to end the session like that, or from our Digital Solutions Squad. Please let us do the first session of the Menti actually again, so everybody can see the results. And something went wrong with the results. Now the problem is done. I just copied the link again here, and now I will share my screen again. And maybe you can even do this with your inputs that you have now. But it's really important for us to have the data from you again, because I don't know what have happened, but now you should see it. You have had the link and you can just do it again shortly, please. It takes 5 minutes right now from our time, or maybe 3 if we are fast. Sorry for the inconveniences. Thanks. I see everybody is writing something in. So what is the guest journey for you without a digital point? Now you can also see the results and take also these results for our session in Copenhagen. That's why it's so important that you can see it right now. What is entering right now in this? Thanks for 10 people that are already participating. We're at 25.
I wonder if the results will be different.
No, actually
They
not.
will, because I forgot my first time.
You see, then this was.
I'm just being honest.
Exactly. Yeah,
Lee,
that's true.
you need an augmented reality thing that reminds you what you said. There you go.
Actually, it's kind of the same when I read through it. For real, it's like the same.
PA. That's what I need. An augmented PA.
Let's work on this with Sergio. Perfect. Thank you for your cooperation here. We just wait 10 seconds again, and then I guess we are done. Already 20 people voted. That's pretty good. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we can switch to the next one. Here, why do we need a digital guest journey? Same process. You can see it on your phone, and then we are done. So again, this question is focused on a digital guest journey. So before we said what is a digital guest journey, now we are focusing on the digital part. Perfect. Okay, so Paul, if you want to make some moderation afterwards, or someone of the Digital Solution Squad like Danny, Shane, Johannes, or Marcus afterwards of our session, I can just say stay tuned. For us, it was a great experience to have now all of your answer. We will have a look at them afterwards and plan the next session intensely in the next location that we have. So thank you all for participating in our session. Maybe somebody else has something to add.
Yeah, just to mention that it was through the Future Living think tank that we've come together as members and just sharing ideas over dinner and over drinks, and the products of Hayfele, the products of IMS and of Like Magic, and possibly other products within, or other providers within the group are welcome to contribute as well. The whole idea is, as Paul mentioned, is to take the feedback of the group and really get the brain moving and the thoughts processing, and then move towards Copenhagen and then deliver the answer. That's the next step, is to deliver our version of the answer based on your feedback, and to address each of the issues that people have raised today. And so I think we probably do a reminder session, maybe, Paul, at Copenhagen to let everybody know what we said, because it's going to drift out of memory. And then, you know, we're very excited about showing you the next step then.
And my understanding is, Marcus, that for the project participants, you provide your tools free of charge, correct?
Always.
Oh, okay. So merci vielmals.
But what I loved about what Like Magic are doing is that it was built by the needs of the SV group, which had a problem in their own. They had their own properties, had their own requirements, and this is where it comes from. So there's nothing better than developing a product to meet the needs of an operator, and then a showing, and so much of the legwork is done that others can benefit here, so particularly in the operator space.
Thank you guys. No, we really appreciate you coming together and sharing, you know, what you've been doing and engaging with everyone, and as they put in that session together, and we look forward to the next one. So thank you very much. Okay, so thank you everyone for sort of bearing with us. We're coming into the last 25-30 minutes now, just to wrap up the meeting and what we've discussed. But I wanted to just take a few moments to highlight some of the people behind the scenes that we brainstorm with and to help us with research and put things together for us. I think, as you all know, and hopefully you've read some of them now, we put case cards together around each of the meetings. So just to remind you, the case cards are short reads. They're anywhere between sort of 6 and 10 pages, which probably usually includes visuals and diagrams. And we're trying to look as far and wide as we can for things that we think are interesting, maybe groundbreaking, maybe a little bit different, not necessarily from our sector, to share with you and to give you something that you can share with others. And also, you know, we appreciate your feedback. You know, you finding them interesting. Do you have any ideas? Have you read about anything? Have you heard about anything that you'd like to us to look into a bit more? So we're always open for your suggestions on that. Now, as we're focusing around the subject matter for this meeting, the apps, social media, etc., we've been working on some case cards, and I wanted to introduce 2 members of the team. I think we had a slide with, there they are. Ramiro and Tobias. Now, some of you will know Tobias. Tobias was with us at the start, and he actually then took some time out to go and do an MBA in Berlin. But we've been keeping in touch with him, and he's been working with us behind the scenes as well. Ramiro has been with us a few months. He's actually at the hotel school in Surrey in the UK. And he's doing an internship with us and working on the research support side. Actually, if we start with Ramiro. Ramiro, I know you're from Hong Kong originally, and I think you've been looking at one or two case cards that focus towards China. And actually, that slide you showed just now, Arturo. So one of the case cards is about WeChat and mini programs, and I thought this visual I just wanted to share with everyone, and obviously you can read in a bit more detail when we send the case card out. But Ramiro, you've been using WeChat.
Yeah, I've been using WeChat quite a while because yeah.
And your phone actually looks like that, the home screen compared to all the other apps? Or?
Yeah, not really, because there's some limitations when I use WeChat here. It's not like in China, and you have access to many services.
Okay, and I think one of the things that I know we've been debating before, it's one of the things that we're looking to find out in our survey as well, is about people's attitude to apps. I think Marcus was just talking now about the benefits of the Light Magic approach, which means you don't have to download an app every time you're using it, and perhaps there is some app fatigue out there. And I think the WeChat system, and I know there's some more detail in the case card to come, but run these mini programs and effectively applications all through that one WeChat app, don't they?
Yeah, the WeChat app acts like a host app. It's like an app store, and then you can just download. You don't have to download, you just access all the other services or apps through WeChat. So basically, it's quite simple to use, and then there's no need to update or download.
Okay, interesting. Well, thank you for that, and we'll bring that case card out in the next week or so, and it'll be in the shared drive, which we're going to share a link with in a minute anyway. So do look that one out, and the others that Ramiro has done for us. Thank you, Ramiro. Don't go away. I'll come back to you in a moment. And Tobias, I think you're with us.
Hi, Paul. Yes.
Hello. Fresh from a lecture, I think.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Okay.
Fresh from the lecture. That's why I couldn't join early, unfortunately. But it's really good to catch up again and to see the Future Living community. Majority I've seen live already, and the rest I hope also to meet live soon, maybe in Copenhagen.
Yeah. No, that would be great. And I know you've been looking at a couple of community apps, and I think there are one or two that have really caught your eye. I think that you're quite enthusiastic about, aren't they?
Yes, exactly. I mean, with community apps in general, you don't see that too often at this moment in co-living concepts, especially because when we speak to operators, of course, it's a high investment, and if you have a co-living concept in Berlin, in Vienna, in bigger cities, they can sell these units anyhow, so it would be like a nice to have, but it's not really a must. But if you consider co-living concepts that offer these apps, I personally have the impression that they have a big advantage towards others, because basically part of co-living is part of this co-living model is to create a community and to have these events. And if there's no tool to communicate amongst each other, of course, it's very difficult. Also, depending on the structure of the building, if you have, for example, the Unique in Vienna that you've all seen last time, I guess, when you have like these 35 floors and you have on different floors, like different community spaces, it's very hard actually to find people, you know, and this is actually the whole idea of co-living concepts. And then of course, apps can also offer different services, and that's where the word service comes in, you know, for example, kind of concierge services, or if your lamp doesn't work anymore, you can just communicate this through this app. So there are a lot of advantages of an app, and also that the operator itself, they don't have to organize events, but they can actually let the app run by the tenants. You know, if there's somebody who's very good in cooking, he can offer cooking courses through this app. So I believe for the entire sense and feeling of community, and that's what co-living, if we speak about co-living, is all about, an app is definitely very, very helpful. Yeah.
And I mean, you've been living in co-living buildings for about 3 years now, haven't you? With the same company, but in 3 different buildings. And you, well, I mean, we visited, as you say, the Vienna Triple Tower Unique, and also the one in Barcelona. But you don't have an app.
No, that's true. There's no app. In Vienna, it was still helpful because there's this WeWash app, you know, not an app provided by the operator, but I believe you all know the WeWash app, where you can reserve your washing machines and see if they're available, and you can pay through this app. And it sounds very minor, but it really, you know, it really improves your quality of life, so to say, because it's very, you know, frustrating if you go to the basement, there are only 4 washing machines, they're all taken, then you need to set the alarm, then you go down, and you know, maybe somebody else was already there and took it away. So these are really small things, but if you have, and this is what co-living is about, if you share these resources, this is definitely something that is very beneficial and helpful, and will be also expected in the future from the tenants if you ask around.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, key driver for community. And Ramiro, I mean, you spent a few months recently as a student living in this social hub in Vienna. And as we know from our visit to Barcelona, the social hub doesn't have an app either, but I think they use WhatsApp to communicate. I mean, how did you find that experience then?
Well, WhatsApp as a communication tool, it definitely works. But for the social hub, the student hotel, it was more like a single communication, like one-way communication, because we're not allowed to chat in the WhatsApp group. Though we have like a small group, WhatsApp group. It's for like the students in the same who share the same kitchen, and on that one we can actually chat. But still, it's better to have an app, I think.
Yeah. And what, you know, are there any challenges that you think could be solved by an app within, I think you mentioned sort of maintenance issues maybe that you found would be easier?
Yeah, because for us, we had to report our problems with our rooms or something, and then we need to go to the reception to report everything. There's no communication channel that we could report. And then also for booking events, we use external like websites for that. And then sometimes like weekly recurring events, it's not that convenient to book, because sometimes you have to book every week. You cannot just have your data there and then just simply click like register. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And maybe Paul, if I may add to that, if we talk about an app and we talk about brand loyalty, of course, it will also be a big benefit, because we should not only focus on one city. If we say one co-living operator is based in Vienna and they also have one in Berlin, for example. So having the community, the opportunity to talk, for example, if somebody wants to go to Berlin for 1 month, could be, or the other way around, or for a few weeks, that they could communicate and kind of also exchange studios. You know, that's also something that would be very beneficial and would also definitely increase the brand loyalty then.
Interesting. And look, yeah, this isn't to do down those operators that have, you know, we've obviously been and visited, and I think are excellent in many ways. I think it's more to highlight the experience of living in those environments where maybe they could have been enhanced from the experience point of view. And I think yeah, we'll I think look out for case card around that hopefully as well, which will highlight what we think is perhaps a really sort of market leading version of that system. But well, thank you both. I hope everyone found that little insight interesting from actual users and their experiences around the apps. So maybe there is a future for apps somewhere potentially in all of this. Right. Okay. So just to wrap up then. So what's next?
I think well, we just need to remind everyone about the possibility that they have in terms of having access to all the documentation that we have before we close the meeting. And just to remind you that we have this share folder where you can have access, and we have already, for example, shared with you there the photos from the previous meeting in Barcelona, so you can also see them, enjoy them, and also use them for marketing purposes if you want. And you have also the summary for Barcelona, for the Barcelona meeting, and all the presentations as well. And the summary, we try to do it as a presentation, but we also have generated like a bit of another format that Paul is going to mention in some seconds, also for you to perhaps have a different kind of way to reflect on what we have talked about in that meeting. And we will do the same, of course, for this meeting as well, to put all the documentation, and we will share with you this this link to this folder with all the information in the platform Mighty Networks. That lead us to remind you again that we have that we are normally posting there all the information regarding the upcoming meetings, the previous meetings, and we suggest that perhaps you could download the app so we can also use it, as we were just mentioning, in terms of community building, communication between the group, among the members. And then, yeah, so here is also the QR code. You don't need to scan it now, but we are going to share again this presentation with you, and then you can download it or use the QR code. But we encourage you to also, yeah, have this app with you. And yeah, Paul, maybe you want to mention about this?
Yeah, so well, like all good athletes, thinking about you know, another career in the media, Arturo and I have decided to practice this. Now we've put together a podcast, Futurecast. I looked that up, actually. It's a mining company, so maybe we can't use that phrase, but we've done a podcast review of the Barcelona meeting, which can be shared through that QR code on the screen. It's on YouTube. It's broken down into subsections. You can only access it with the link, so it's not publicly available. So you can go to, it's about an hour long, but you can go to the sort of different segments within it. We're really interested in your feedback on this, because I think this is something we'd like to do a little bit more. I think we're talking to lots of interesting people all the time as we're looking at preparation and content for the meetings. And so one of the things we're thinking about there is maybe doing some little kind of short chats that relate to some of the topics that we're talking about. We'd also be more than happy to get all of you on there, probably not in one go, but if you've got something that you'd like to specifically talk about or you think is interesting, then you know, we're all ears. We'd like to do that, and just something different, I think, that we can add into being part of the project. So yeah, do give us your feedback on that. I can't watch it. It's it's like anything. Watching yourself talk is, and we may get a bit slicker at it. We hope. But let us know what you think about that.
Yeah, just important to mention, Paul, that perhaps the different sections that are within the video refer to the different sections that we had during the meeting. For example, the presentation from Andrew, also the crowdsourcing example, for example, from our research partners, Fraunhofer Institute, and all. For example, also we reflect about the visits that we had in Barcelona, either in the social hub or in the other locations. So yeah, that is relevant. So that's, you can just select the one that is more of interest for you.
Great stuff. Okay, so what's next? Well, the secret was out earlier, but I think we already talked about it in Barcelona. So the next meeting is going to take place in Copenhagen. We're still just sort of finalizing some of the details on that, so we will let you obviously know as soon as we can the specifics, but those are the dates. So it will run similar format to Barcelona. So we'll start on late afternoon, early evening on the Sunday the 3rd, and run through to Tuesday the 5th of September. We hope as many of you can join us as possible, and we'll be sending out a diary invite on that. So if you can let us know once that's gone out as quickly as you can, then we can start to factor in for numbers, etc. So we look forward to seeing you there. What else is happening in between? Ileana and Urban, I think, are here today. So we've talked about crowdsourcing a little bit over the last few meetings. You've all given input into that. And so we are quite close to launching the first crowdsourcing challenge. So we're hoping to launch that within the next 10 days or so. It's just a quick screenshot here from the draft that's now up on the site, although not publicly available yet. And we are asking the crowd to give us their thoughts on the living concept of their dreams, and we've given them some guidance in there. So we'll share a link with you so you can see that. Now, we need a couple of things, really. The idea behind the crowdsourcing challenge is that the challenge goes out. People have about a month to put forward their responses. We have moderators, which myself and Arturo and the Fraunhofer team, and we can respond to people's, so we can see that as it's coming in, and they're all publicly visible. So we can ask questions back and explore that a little bit further. And then ultimately, we judge a winner. So we need a jury to judge the winner. And we have spaces on the jury. We're going to do 3 of these challenges now over the next year. So if you would like to be a jury member, please reach out, put it down in the chat right now if you'd like, and we'll obviously communicate out as well again. But if you'd like to be part of that and judge what comes in, that would be great. And then finally, the crowd. So, and I know that Ileana and Urban and Eric perhaps talked to some of you about this in Barcelona, but the crowd can never be big enough. So we're very interested in if you are in talking to you about giving you the sort of package and the setup that you can send out to your databases to invite them to come and join the crowd. There's no charge to be in it. You can decide to join whatever challenge you like to, but it's an opportunity potentially for more people to get involved in this crowdsourcing challenge. So again, I know we've had some conversations with you, but if you're interested, let us know. But otherwise, we'll reach out again and see how we can do that. And finally, the survey, the Future Living Survey. So we, this is a screenshot of the front page. It's not quite what will go out to the people, but you might see on their version 9. I can tell you this has been quite a deep piece of work. We're targeting the 3 different cluster groups and actually trying to get a survey to work across that broad range, particularly around an area in service living that maybe isn't so widely understood, has been a big challenge, but we've got there. I think we've got a really good survey. We will share that with you, and we are very close to that going out and being live. I think the first market we're going to hit is London, with the other 2 closely behind. And we are hoping that we should have some very early results by September that we can start to share. And obviously, as we work through those, we will do that. And then obviously by the end of the project, we'll certainly have that comprehensively in place. The 3 markets, London, Vienna, Barcelona, we looked at for the 3rd candidate, quite a number, and I think in the end we've worked around what is panel accessible. So we're targeting 1,000 respondents in each city, across equally split across the cluster groups. So that in research terms starts to give you a meaningful response back. So looking forward to sharing that with you very soon. And I think that brings us to an end. Look at that, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 12 o'clock even. Thank you, everyone. I know online isn't easy. I know we all get on so well in person, and it's often more fun. But hopefully we've kept it light and moving along. I thank you for all of your contributions, and for your continued support in the project. We'll be in touch, and do reach out to us if you've got any ideas. If you have any more digital solution squad alternatives that you'd like to talk about, either in the same vein or in a different way, then please do share it with us, and we look forward to seeing you in September.
Great job. Thank you.
Bob. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
See you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.